Daily Broadside to 870. You know those riot horses out in California and all are like, what the hell are we doing? Like horses have such different lives, right? Some are just out in the pasture, just eating grass with a little blanket on their back to keep them, knock the chill off. And just hanging out. People prance around, they brush them and feed them apples and little sugar cubes and stuff. And others are getting doused with pepper spray and beaten by rubber bullets and stuff, and just errant rounds and whatnot. So, a tale of two cities for sure. Last night, I had a weird plumbing issue that I was trying to figure out, and how I was going to do it and all. So, wiring up this shower valve, this diverter and everything, and I was trying to decide which way I wanted to go with it. I could sweat it with copper, I could do PEX, or I could do iron pipe. And so I went to a Home Depot, and I needed to get a couple things, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I asked, there was like nobody there. It's like 8 o'clock at night. And I said, I had to ask two different people before I finally got somebody. I was like, could you get somebody in plumbing? And so finally, I'm standing there, and I was holding what I felt like I was going to get. I just wanted a second opinion. And this black female walks around the corner. She's like 32, and I'm like, that's an odd. You don't see a lot of black female plumbers, just like you don't see a lot of black female firefighters. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those in the wild or anywhere else. It's just kind of odd that nobody breaks that glass ceiling. But anyway, she comes around. I was like, "You the plumbing expert?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah." And she's very polite, very, very happy, and yeah, very personable and all that. And so I tell her, I'm like, "So I got this valve, and I want to try to blah blah blah." And she goes, "Okay, that sounds like a good idea." And I'm like, and so I at first got like the tinge of like, she's going to agree with me, or am I going to get some advice, or I'm looking for a second opinion. Am I making a bad mistake, or is this the way to go? And so I said something else. I was like, I'll use this T, and then I'll come down to this elbow. And she's like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. Not that that's a good plan, but everything's a plan until it falls apart, And I'm like, okay, all right. And so I said, and at that point we were talking about PEX, and then I was like, but I said I could also use iron pipe. I said, so if I get this nipple and I put it down to this T, blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, I don't know about all that. And I'm like, you mean that's a bad idea? She's like, no, I just don't know about this. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, is this not the plumbing person? And mind you, there were 4 ladies at the front waiting on nobody to check out. There was one dude in painting, and that's all I saw in the whole store. It was crazy. And so I had to suggest, I was like, anybody else in the store you can call? So she gets on her little phone, her little Home Depot phone, and she calls up, and she's got it on speakerphone. So I'm privy to the conversation, and it's kind of like a Nextel. She's like a walkie-talkie or whatever. She keys up, and she's like, Veronica. And she's like, yeah, where are you at? I'm in the break room. Okay, never mind. And so she's kind of talking to herself. She's like, oh, okay, let me see if, let me call her. So she calls her. She's like, Maria. And she's like, go ahead. She's like, do you know anything? I'm over here in plumbing, and I need some help. She's like, and she says this, she's like, I don't know why you called me. And so she's like, okay, all right, let's see. Let me call him. So she calls up. Harrison. Go ahead. Harrison, I got a question about plumbing. Go ahead. This guy's got a diverter, and we need to know if iron pipe is the right way to do this. You know anything about that? You're like, I don't know a damn thing. Like, I don't think he said damn, but it was pretty close, and she's like, okay. Now I think she's getting embarrassed. Now it's to the point where I feel like she should have probably switched over to not speakerphone. But maybe that's not an option because it's more like a walkie-talkie. So she gets back on there. Let's see. Michael, go ahead. Do you know anything about this plumbing? I got a diverter. And he's like, I don't know nothing about no diverter. Like that. And she's like, okay. This went on for like 7 people. And the level of disrespect on the radio, I don't want to say to me as the customer, but almost, and not to her as the person who's talking to it, but just the whole, like, it didn't seem like anybody was on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how, like, you can be, like, I'm not saying, like, a company man where you're just suckling at the teat of the Home Depot gods, but, like, be helpful. You know what I mean? Like, and if you can't be helpful, be polite. You know, that's really all there is to it. Hey, you know, if I'm working at Lowe's, right, man, I'd be trying to help everybody. I would, because I feel like, most of the Lowe's I go into, there's about 6 of them I go into for quite regularly, and of course they're all laid out differently. But I routinely tell people where to get stuff, because I'll hear them asking somebody, and clearly either one of 2 things happens: either the employee doesn't answer fast enough for my liking, or they don't know because they're from, you know, they're in the plumbing department. They've been sent over to paint to fill in or something like that, and they're like, do you know where I can get any oil-based primer? And they're like, and they pull out their little phone, and I'm like, right over there, bin 18. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very, but I would answer like every question. I'd be approaching everybody like, how's it going? What can I help you do? You know, I'd just be like the floater in the whole store, because I feel like I don't feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about most everything in that store. You know, I can talk about dimensional lumber. I can talk about, not necessarily heating and air. That's probably my weak spot, but I could go to lawn care. I could do whatever. I could talk a little electrical. I can talk a little plumbing. I could talk a little drywall. I could talk a lot of stuff about some things. I know a lot about tile. In fact, I'm getting ready to go do some tile in a bathroom here in a minute. You know, so my point is, like, be polite, like, fake it till you make it, okay? In the sense that you don't know who's listening to your Nextel conversation, you know? I had a guy, speaking of people that were impatient, I got a rule. After about 7 to 10 seconds of sitting at a green light and you not going, I beat my horn, you know? And yesterday I'm behind this 98 Explorer coupe, you know, 2-door Explorer with like a nice plastic film over the back glass that used to be there. And I'm sitting there and the light doesn't change, so I hit the horn. Dude flips me the bird right out the window. So I flip it right back, because I'm like, you know, what the hell? You know, like, and then he's all like, come on, like we're going to pull over. But then he never pulls over. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, if I'm at a light and it's green and I'm, for whatever reason, not paying attention, and I want somebody to, beep their horn and let me know, hey, dumbass, you know, let's go. That's what horns are for. They're notices of, hey, impending danger. Hey, something's going on. Hey, get your head out of your ass and drive your car. I mean, that's what the horn is for. The horn is for that very thing. And this guy wants to flip me off. And then he wants to try to incite some kind of violence with me by pulling over. You don't just invite people to pull over, because you don't know who you're inviting over, you know? Plus there were 2 of us, you know? I mean, I'm like, I'll pull over. We can have a talk. And like, it's stupid, you know? Because you got offended at a horn. People are just dumb, and I hate most of them sometimes. But anyway, y'all have a good one, Kitty.